Hello, everyone, and welcome back to SCG Con live here at Vegas with the Riftbound 10K. I'm Blevins. That is Charmer, and we are in to round number 6 here. Charmer, a lot of amazing matches so far.
That's right, and we are kind of getting to the nitty-gritty parts of the event, right? We know it is 9 rounds. This is a big event. We're getting ready to start round 6 in just a moment, which means the mental fatigue is probably starting to set in for many of these players, and I think that's going to be something to watch out for.
Yeah, absolutely. The top tables are thinning out, as it were. The middle of the pack is when they lose, they're going home, maybe going out to the craps tables, but the top tables are packed in, and we've got a great match coming right up here. Let's jump right into the match here. We've got Tingfeng versus Ryan Miles. Now, this is a person that that we know, Charmer, Ryan Miles.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's my understanding that both of these are players of note. I believe Tingfeng had a very good placement at a 2K recently, was what production was telling me.
Yes.
Ryan Miles on the other side is a former Force of Will world champion.
World champion. And shout outs to Boulevard and absolutely no one else.
No, you're wrong. Ryan Miles also is somebody that was a top 8 Battle Spirits Pro Tour player as well.
Oh, okay.
Has worked as a developer on other card games. So this should be a great matchup between two good players. And speaking of which, we saw a Stupefy into this hopeful on the side of Ryan's, just trying to cheat out that 4 might.
Yeah, you love to see it, and we actually kind of buried the lead here. It is a Kaisa v. Kaisa match. We've got the Dreaming Tree versus the Dreaming Tree, which, of course, is going to give you that extra card when you choose a friendly unit there for the first time each turn. Now, a lot of people talk about how they don't like the Kaisa mirror, how they're sick of seeing it. I got to say, as a caster and as a lover of the game and as a lover of high-level play, I enjoy the Kaisa mirror quite a lot.
Yeah, I think that it is a very skill-testing matchup simply because you have to understand a lot of very critical moments in terms of breakpoints and gameplay, knowing when watchers are online, knowing when Darius plays are online.
Knowing when Seals of Rage are being played in Kaisa, excuse me.
And we see the fruits of such a play immediately with that falling star coming down. And 2 Seals of Rage means that for the rest of this game, the falling stars will not be forced to recycle runes. This is kind of an interesting build.
I will say it is certainly not a stock standard build. I have not seen Seal of Rage in very many, if any. I'll just say I've never seen Seal of Rage in a Kaisa deck until this very moment. So I'm very excited to see. I know I talked a bit with Ryan before the tournament. I believe they're on a relatively, if you asked a random player what does a Kaisa list look like, I think it's going to be pretty similar to what Ryan's running. I think if you ask a player what a Kaisa list looks like, 1 out of whatever the field is would say that they're Seals of Rage, and we're watching that play right now.
But that being said, this is a player that is currently 5-0 in the event.
Absolutely.
So if my 12-year-old son was on the broadcast, he would say, let him cook. I want to see what's happening here. Ryan develops the Kaisa, but chooses not to accelerate it there.
Yeah, this is just a we're going into 5 resources here. I mean, notably, Void Seeker is the heads-up play there. Like, do not want your Kaisa to get Void Seeker there for free. But we do take full advantage of the Dreaming Tree by saying, hey, this Stupefy is now a Consult the Past for 1 resource. I'll take that.
Oh, so in the hand of Tingfeng, we have a Time Warp.
Yes.
Now, Time Warps are something that have been making their way into most stock Kaisa lists anyway, but with these seals potentially stopping so much recycling, this could be a focus as opposed to like a backup game plan for Tingfeng.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're already running the red seals and you've got Time Warp in your deck, I mean, are we not just seeing the blue seals as well? It's got to be, right?
I don't know. Maybe they just like Seals of Angie. Maybe they're a big fan of Blevins.
I love it. The Seals of Angie coming in, but Ryan Miles not quite Angie here, drawing a card with the Kaisa on the Conquer, getting that first point on the board. Now, there's a lot of nuance in the Kaisa mirror. The one thing you don't want to do is fall too far behind in points or really any of the resource metrics here, and we're pretty close at least right now.
And that Kaisa, of course, going to the Dreaming Tree, which is both of the battlefields. But since we have two of them and we still need to let our viewers know which one is which, I'm going to refer to that as the Southern Dreaming Tree because it is on the lower part of the broadcast.
Yep, I like it.
Ryan trying to figure out what else to do here and opts for a falling star. I do like this play. Just going to target the Kaisa twice because you want to slow down the other player, also slow down the draws as well.
Yeah, I mean, keeping the board nice and clean, casting a falling star to kill a Kaisa when your opponent can't use a retreat is certainly a window of opening there to get max value off of your, well, maybe not max value, but enough value out of your falling star.
Well, and more importantly, it prevents you from getting blown out on your end. If you're watching at home and you're not aware of the interaction, Falling Star has two windows where you can interact with it. It has what's called a reflexive trigger. So if a Falling Star has not yet resolved and then proceeded to the reflexive triggers and your opponent casts a retreat, when the Falling Star then resolves, you still have to choose legal targets. And so if all of their units are off of the board, well, then you have to target your own units. It can be a blowout play in these mirrors. And I think Ryan rightfully saw that with all of the opposing runes exhausted, this is the window to take advantage of the Falling Star.
I do like the fact that there's at least some scenario where Falling Star isn't the absolute most broken card ever thought of.
So now we have the Pouty Poro coming in with a cleave.
Yep. On the Dreaming Tree, of course, even at the during the showdown here, still counts as being at the battlefield. So both players here are actually able to draw a card, the Pouty Poro off of the cleave, the Kaisa with the retreat there.
Now Ryan did also get to channel a rune exhausted due to the retreat as well, but the big result of this is that Tingfeng is now up to 3 points with the Conquer. And despite these being two decks that are kind of Conquer-centric, if you will, for their game plan, we're seeing that the points are accumulating rather slowly. I think both of these players are being very methodical in their approach to this mirror. They don't want to overcommit. They're looking for windows of opportunity, and I commend these players. Oh, that's a Draven.
I was going to say, remember when I said Draven earlier? And
you
actually
did.
I meant Darius. I mean Draven here. It's Draven time.
I am in love with whatever this list is. We see Draven and Seals.
Yeah, I'm all of a sudden a fan of Kaisa now.
Ryan, if you ever watch this back, I love you, buddy, but Tingfeng is my new favorite. This is fantastic.
Yeah, this is like the Kaisa list that I wanted to play when we first saw it revealed, and it wasn't good because I was playing it. But this here is at the very minimum of an extremely interesting build of Kaisa, and I am, in fact, here for it.
Well, so the beauty of the inclusion of Draven here is that Kaisa is already a deck that can rack up early points, early conquers very quickly. And a lot of times we talk about how important it is that Darius can come in and swing for 7. Yes, it's with a pseudo accelerate, and that's part of the appeal. But this Draven essentially just sits at a higher might anyway. Currently at 6, right? It's got a base of 3. And if you're not familiar, Draven also gets a bonus might for each of your victory points. So as this game progresses, what you're doing is you're kind of saying, okay, if I'm worried about other Dariuses, what if I just play something that's always bigger anyway?
Right. I feel like Darius is almost filling the role that Mundo sees in a lot of these decks. It's almost like a baby Mundo. It's a relatively, I mean, comparatively much cheaper card.
Right. So
and
important.
Big enough.
Board state update. Ryan got a double conquer here, one with the Kaisa and then another with the Ravenbloom student, so the points have now tied up. Ryan has presence at both locations, but Tingfeng has not only the Draven, but a number of runes, as well as the seals available. So a lot of options, fistful of cards as well. Both these players keeping their hands full due to the Dreaming Tree interactions.
Yeah. Notably here, 9 runes for Tingfeng, not Time Warp. Not that they would want to necessarily cast Time Warp here anyhow. But we're in the range. I mean, depending on how much power is being used. I mean, if there are red cards coming, if there's Angie cards coming, Tingfeng's got themselves covered here with the
Well,
two seals.
thinking about the potential of this time warp strategy as well, right? We're seeing the seals, we've seen the time warp. If you're playing more specifically to, ramping into a time warp as a Kaisa player, the Draven inclusion makes sense. We always talk about how 6 is such an important break point when you're trying to drive home the victory for these decks.
Yep.
Well, when you get to the 6 victory points, that Draven is essentially a 9.
Yeah.
So
Huge.
not only is it bigger than a Watcher, even if you need to go in for a Conquer. It's even bigger than the mechs that people have been teching from the sideboard, right? So if you get to that magic 6 break point, suddenly Draven into a location, and then with the time warps, you can really close things out. But here we see a Falling Star trying to clean up some of the board.
Yep. Well, Ryan does have a recall here. Would be able to use it on the Ravenbloom student. Chooses not to, just going to get the card off of the Sentry.
Yeah, and the reason for this is that the retreat, you want to save it, I think, for if there's some sort of follow-up. In this case, it's just going to be the Draven, but if there was something else that would potentially get rid of that Kaisa, you still want the insurance. Ryan wants to see what's in the trash of Tingfeng here.
Yep.
But I have to assume that the retreat will now be used, and there it is.
Yep, retreat is happening now. Notably, a card like Void Seeker is action speed. Does not go on top of the reaction of retreat there, so not able to respond there and get completely blown out on the side of Ryan. But, valuing the Kaisa over the Ravenbloom student in this case, and I think I tend to agree with that.
But with that Conquer, Tingfeng is now at 4 points, which means that Draven is just permanently at 7.
Yep. Not currently a way in the game to make players lose points.
Not currently.
Yeah.
You are correct.
We could see points as a resource at some point in time. I don't know how you balance that, but that would be an interesting mechanic. But it is currently not in the game, and Draven would not like to see it, even if it was.
So now it is Ryan's turn to navigate how to stay in this. Only down by 1 point, but the Draven is looming, as well as I'm counting, 5 runes up on the side of Tingfeng.
Like
so a lot of potential options. Again, both
Yeah.
players have a lot of cards in hand just because of these Dreaming Tree interactions. So anything that Ryan wants to do here has to be kind of under the threat of whatever could be answered with those 5 runes. Things like a Void Seeker, like a Stupefy, Smoke Screen, etc.
Oh, but how about a Cathian Rain? That tends to clean things up nicely.
That is one way to deal with an ever-growing Draven.
Yeah. I was going to point out notably that 7 being a break point, so that now Darius just getting the trigger is not enough. Of course, Darius Cleave would be enough to actually win against the Draven. But here, Cathian Rain doesn't really care about that at all.
So I think they're just trying to figure out how many instances. I would imagine it's got to be the vast majority at Draven and 1 at the Sentry.
Yep.
Tingfeng with the retreat saves the Draven, so it can continue to come back and be a menace, but also, because of the Dreaming Tree, draws a card, channels a rune from the retreat, draws a card from the Watchful Sentry. So again, both of these players just have all of the options, it feels like, in their hand at all times because of this double Dreaming Tree game 1.
Yeah, and this is going to be, we're going up to full runes. Looks like a full stack of Nexus Knight runes here on the side of Tingfeng. Is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's 7-5. Red, Angie to mind here for Tingfeng. So we get to see the full distribution here on stream and a grip full of cards.
And this is the, I think, most common setup that I've been seeing. Obviously, on the other side, we see Ryan that has 6 blue runes, but most of the deck lists from China events, for example, they have had 5 blue runes, you kind of want to favor the red runes just because, again, Falling Star, that's one of the things that's going to force a recycle.
Yeah.
Your Kaisas and your Dariuses, you can't use your Kaisa Legend ability, so the emphasis on the red. But interesting that Tingfeng is still on that 7-5 split while also running the seals.
Yeah, I mean, when you've got the requirement, I mean, all of these cards, this you know, every time that this Draven would get played, it would be taxing. But yeah, just exhaust this rune, pay for Draven. It's like he doesn't even have a power cost.
So Tingfeng just kind of takes a setup turn, redevelops the Draven, plays a Pouty Poro as well, leaves up 5 runes for, you know, reactive options.
Yep.
I'm now wondering how many copies of Time Warp Tingfeng runs.
Yeah. I'm wondering. Well, I guess we don't necessarily know that they have Time Warp. I guess we're really just assuming here based on.
No, we've seen it in the hand.
Oh, okay, we've seen it in the hand. Okay, I missed that. I know.
That's why I was saying. I wonder how many copies.
Oh,
we see a Time Warp on the side of Ryan now as well. So both players actually have a Time Warp in hand.
Yeah, and Ryan actually has the resources to cast it too.
Well, they both do, but the really important thing to emphasize here, and we kind of talk a lot today about breakpoints, Tingfeng being at 4 is a lot more important than Ryan being at 3.
Yep.
Because at 4, if you get a double conquer to 6 and then play Warp, you just win the game on the spot.
Absolutely.
So I think that's also why Tingfeng took kind of that setup approach last turn. You still want to be able to react, but you play a Draven, which will be big enough to go over the Raven Bloom.
Yep.
And then if the Pouty can walk into the other spot, you just Time Warp. So Ryan's going to have to find a way to maybe have a way to stop that. I'm looking at the hand, and I'm seeing a lot of like proactive things, right?
Yeah.
I see the Watchers, I see the Darius, but we might be watching Tingfeng take that setup turn and then use it to their advantage.
Yeah, and again, a single point being that break point to keep this from being really scary on the side of Ryan here with that Time Warp, because it is castable. We could see it happen, and we may see it happen out of desperation just to try to find something here, get a couple extra points. But if Tingfeng is able to conquer, like you said, conquer both of these runes, slam the Time Warp, we go to game 2.
All right, so Darius is coming down. Ryan with the Conquer earlier did go from 3 to 4, so now they are both at parity. Potentially a second card here to ready the Darius, and then if Ryan can go to the other location, we'll be at 5. Now this is very important for Ryan because of the 2 runes left open. This means that that Pouty Poro can't just trade naturally with the Raven Bloom. But again, Draven is bigger than a Darius.
Yes.
If Tingfeng with that fistful of cards has some cleaves available, we could see a cleave on one, a cleave on another, because they have the full 12 runes, and then just Time Warp. And that would be enough to clear.
Or just the cleave on the Poro first, get the point, attack over. That potentially could potentially play around all of the options, but we shall see here.
All right. Not going to be the case. Instead,
how
simply going to play a Cathian Rain.
Yeah. You don't need Time Warp if you just effectively give yourself an extra turn.
I mean, it does clear all of these options should Tingfeng want to spread it thin, but I really like this just sending to Darius and Kaisa.
Yeah.
The Raven Bloom, you would have to commit more than one realistically, because if there was some sort of spell like a Stupefy, you could play in response. And I don't think that the student is worth investing 2 pings, so not being greedy, just targeting Kaisa and Darius makes a lot of sense.
Yep, makes a lot of sense. Get rid of the actual threats here and not even go that far. I mean, actually just didn't even, spent 1 rune there, right? With the seals and the Kaisa ability, and still had enough for the Darius readied here. We're moving in. Ryan able to cast the Hex Tech Ray to offer a trade here.
Yeah. The Hex Tech will buff the Rift.
Oh, using it to draw a card.
Yeah, I was going to say it would buff the Raven Balloon up to 3, and then the Hextech would be dealing 3, but that's not enough to hit 7 for Darius,
You're
right?
You're absolutely right.
This could just be a cycle here.
Yeah, it is. It looks like it is.
And Tingfeng saying, yeah, if you want to do that, that's fine.
Yep.
So Ryan's going to have to come up with some answers. This will be a successful conquer. There's nothing Ryan has in hand that will stop a conquer on the other spot. So Tingfeng is now going to go to the Magic 6. Now this is important because if a single battlefield is held, Time Warp just closes the game.
That's true. Not to mention the Draven in the back, looming in the back line.
Well, right, but if the Draven could be, stopped by some sort of effect or whatever,
right.
There's still outs there, but there
Sure.
is no out against the Time Warp, right? Ryan
True.
is not running Calm, so there's no Wind Wall, there's no Mystic Reversal.
Right.
Essentially, Tingfeng knows that as long as one of these is held, then victory is at hand. So Ryan has to clear out both.
Yeah. I guess. Oh, we're at max runes, but unfortunately, Watcher Accelerated is 8. Darius is 5. That's 13. That's more runes than you can possibly have. So can't line those two up. I see a pair of Time Warps.
Yeah, Ryan with 2 Time Warps and
Yeah.
no good use for them at the moment.
Yeah.
And I think we're kind of seeing the power of this Draven just being big enough to not be removed. It can sit on the backline until you need it the most.
Okay, we did draw a Hextech Ray, which now we can play Darius, threaten, well, actually just kill the other Darius there, Hextech Ray the Poro, and, I mean, we're not dead on board at that point. We actually have found a way to deal with both.
Well, if you suspect your opponent has Time Warp, though, you are dead on board.
Well, yes. If they have Time Warp, we're dead. That is for sure. But Ryan doesn't know for a fact that they have.
Well, you're correct. However, now that we've seen that Ryan is also running 2 copies, I think Ryan is a smart enough player to say this person is also 5-0 sitting across from me. They're on at least 2 copies, and both of these players have drawn an insane number of cards this game, right?
Oh, absolutely. But it's not like Ryan is making this play and the Draven can just conquer and the game's over. You need to show me it. Show me the Time Warp here.
Yeah, and that's what's going to happen. It's going to be the Draven,
Yep.
and then there is the Warp.
There it is.
So that will be game 1 going to Tingfeng with an interesting version of Kaisa. Still a lot of staples there, so not completely out of left field, but with some tech choices. The Seals included to help pay for some of those power costs, as well as the Draven just for a large body. I'm kind of a fan of this.
Would you say that you're Draven's biggest fan?
No, that is clearly you, and I will never take that title from you.
Excellent. Well, there it is, game number 1 with Tingfeng there. And yeah, very interesting. Like you said, we're not deviating too far from the norm. We're still running all of the best cards. Your Kaisas, your Dariuses, Hextech Ray, all of that, Time Warps, of course, Acathian Rain. And all of those came in and were quite good. But those other few tech choices, I do like the Draven. The Seals felt good there. They certainly added a lot of power in a very power-hungry deck, and we saw it pay off for Tingfeng. But we're going in to game number 2 here. Kaisa v. Kaisa. Looks like we've got on the one side, in the southern hemisphere here, we've got the Zon Warrens, which, of course, when you conquer, discard a card to draw 1. And on the northern side, we've got the Star-Tipped Peak, which remind me what that one does, Charmer.
The peak should be when you hold it, you channel a rune.
That's right.
Exhausted.
That's what I was testing you because I definitely remembered off the top of my head, and you passed the test there.
I appreciate you testing my knowledge. You're keeping me sharp like a caster should. So I will say this about the Seals, kind of just thinking through the way these decks operate. One of the other things that it enables if Tingfeng is running the Hopefuls is you could get a turn 1 Hopeful play because the Seal coming down is the first card and then the Legion, and that also in the mirror could be something
really be good.
that accelerates that tempo. And it was just coming to my mind because, of course, we see Ryan there with the Raven Bloom into a hopeful.
Yep, absolutely. And there's a seal. Yeah, that's a play that's usually only for Annie or sometimes Darius.
So now we see a falling star. I was going to say, and there's the Superfly.
Oh, okay.
Ryan's smart enough to say, hey, if you're targeting this,
Yes.
then you have something else, but was maybe preemptively grabbing that card.
Yeah. I was like, is this the original version starter deck, Noxus Hopeful, which, if for those of the OGs will remember, when the cards were white bordered back in the day, Noxus Hopeful was actually only 3 might. Kind of crazy to think.
Pouty Poro does go in to capture the first point of the game for Tingfeng on, of course, Star Tip Peak. 2 runes still up for Tingfeng for reactive stuff as well. And Ryan is now at 6 runes, and we've talked about it perhaps ad nauseum at this point. That does open up your Darius plays if you have a 1-cost card, but Ryan opting to play a Lecturing Yordle and now a Hextech Ray.
Yep.
This will still require a rune to be recycled because of the deflect cost.
Correct. Ryan really wishing that they had a seal in this case.
Yeah. Ryan perhaps thinking of fonder memories at SeaWorld where he had plenty of seals, but unfortunately, no Seals of Rage on the side of Ryan. Again, I'm just very excited to see the iteration. You know, we talk about how, you know, again, Kaisa mirrors might feel the same or whatever, but when you take into account the differences in the matchups and, again, what the solid power of the Draven does, what the ability to keep your runes while paying for the power cost does, this could just be some of that further evolution as the game evolves. It's not as solved as I think people think. We have an accelerated Kaisa come down, which, again, no rune recycled because of the seal on the side of Tingfeng. This should be a successful conquer, so 2 points now on the side of Tingfeng, and will draw from the Kaisa effect as well.
Watchful Sentry at this point in the game makes a lot more sense than cycling a Thousand-Tailed Watcher, which maybe would have raised a few eyebrows on the side of Ryan. But now 1 energy available, 1 rune available on the side of Tingfeng. Of course, we've seen the retreat do a lot of work here. We could have, of course, Hextech Ray, Stupefy. That is the range that Ryan is considering right now as they plot out their turn. Looks like they've got a retreat of their own.
Yeah, I think Ryan would still like to find a way to force a retreat if that is what Tingfeng is sitting on, because you don't want to leave that Kaisa around if you can help it. Not only would it deny the hold point, but just in general, if you have an opportunity to get rid of it, you could turn off some of that conquering card draw.
This is would be that exact scenario you described, where if there was a falling star on the side of Ryan and they cast the retreat, it would be an absolutely back-breaking play.
Yep, that would be a blowout. There also might just be some consideration on Ryan's side as far as how to buff the Raven Bloom, because right now, just sending it in, it's an even trade with the Kaisa.
Yeah.
Two might units against a single 4 might unit. However, the moment Ryan plays a spell, that might actually be why the Ravenbloom student was developed before going in, because that could be the target of the retreat, thus buffing the one that's in the showdown. Very heads-up play by Ryan, but no, does opt instead to just trade even, just wants to get rid of that Kaisa. Now we're going to see a Kaisa played but not accelerated. So Ryan, even though still sitting at 0 points, says, I'm going to take this slow. I'm in no rush.
Yeah, no rush at all. I'm wondering, though, have we seen Void Seekers on the side of Tingfeng? I don't know if we saw any Void Seekers in the last game. I at least don't remember. And we're seeing a pass on the side of Tingfeng.
Yeah.
I'm very interested with that many cards in hand and that many resources available. What is going on?
Tingfeng is at 8 runes, all 5 of the mind runes in hand.
And even if we had Dr. Mundo, we're able to cast it there.
Right, or a Watcher or whatever.
Right.
So also interesting here, we're seeing Ryan send the Kaisa to the Zon Warrens, and that is a successful conquer. So now Ryan has to be wondering, okay, what is actually going on? Ravenbloom tries to conquer the Star-Tipped Peak. That is currently being answered by a Hextech Ray, but it will be retreated.
Yep.
And then we see the Ravenbloom redeployed along with a Hopeful.
Yep.
Following that up, Tingfeng now going up to 10 runes.
Yep. Looks like Tingfeng just playing the defensive game, saying, hey, I'm up by a full turn cycle here. It was 2-0, saying, I'll just take my runes here. I'll make you do something,
or
commit more to the board.
Perhaps Tingfeng just has only spells.
Very, very possible.
Because this Acathian Rain, yes, it's a lot, right? It's got a potential to do a ton of work, but we will see Ryan play another retreat, this time on the Kaisa. And I like that option.
Yeah, that's 12 runes in play for Ryan. We're going to accelerate the Kaisa again. We're going to go again here.
Now, it'll be very telling in my mind if this, I was going to say if it goes to the Warrens, because Ryan likely wants to filter the hand even further.
Yep. Evens it up at 2. They're going to stack the ability to draw the cards first, and now the trigger. There it goes. Falling Star gone. Draws.
Yeah, I was trying to see what the second draw was there.
I thought it might be a Acathian Rain, but it flashed by so quickly. It actually may have been Darius.
So with only one card played, being the Kaisa, Darius now comes down, is readied, immediately conquers the other location. So Ryan, playing things slow, finds a window and takes the points lead. Is still on that awkward 3 break point, but you still are happy with presence at both locations and getting a bit of a bump.
Yeah, and we'll see what Tingfeng has to respond here. Ryan does still have 2 resources available. We saw the retreat in hand, so going to be able to save one of these if they want. Looks like this might be another. Oh, it is a Watcher. Okay.
So Tingfeng finally finding some board presence. This Watcher will go in to deal with the Darius. Darius currently at 2 might because of the -3.
Yep.
And with the dice being doled out, it makes me wonder if Tingfeng might also have something like a Hextech Ray. Again, what seemed like just a handful of spells.
Right. Yeah, this is reading like a Hextech Ray to me. And there it is.
And we see Ryan's 3rd retreat, so that should be all of them gone. But really prioritizing saving that Kaisa, likely because of the card draw. I believe the score should be 3-3 after that successful conquer from the Watcher on Tingfeng. So I would expect that they update that soon.
We will see if that happens or not, but in any case,
there it is.
And there it is.
So Ryan with a lot of tools in hand now, a Acathian Rain of his own.
Could a Acathian Rain into Darius.
Yeah, there's a Darius, again, that Kaisa that was retreated.
That would feel
then another Falling Star, so that makes sense why the other Falling Star was dumped to the Zon Warrens earlier.
Oh, yeah. I wonder if we just go Kaisa accelerated for 5, Darius for 5, Falling Star for 2. No, Falling Star doesn't deal with the Watcher. Well, we're going to start with the Kaisa.
No, I think this is just start with the Kaisa because you'll get a look at a couple of different cards.
Yep, makes sense.
Probably trade that Falling Star out again.
Yep.
Because as weird as it
There's
sounds,
another
because that
Kaiser.
card is obviously very, very good, at this stage of the game and in this matchup, it loses a lot of its value.
A lot of its value for sure. Brian just thinking, like, I've not had a good spot to use it yet. Doesn't seem like it's going to get better.
All right, so Castian Rain goes out. I have to assume it's just going to be one target on the Poro, the rest on the Watcher, mostly because you don't want to have to pay the deflect more than once.
I guess you could technically choose to not pay the deflect and have the ability not happen with the new errata. So even if you did accidentally put an extra one on there.
Sure, but why not just overload the Watcher?
Oh, no,
you want it gone anyway.
I agree. I agree. It's just that if you accidentally said, "Oh, I'll put four here,"
but
and then
don't even accidentally. That's what my point is. Don't make that mistake.
I agree.
Sometimes it's about sending a message, and that Watcher deserves it.
I like the message of I'm going to overpay to kill this Poro even though I have no need to. All right. Okay.
So Tingfeng,
that's a desperation time warp.
I was just going to say, is playing this warp really as a cycle.
Yeah,
we know Tingfeng has been struggling to find units this particular game, and this will essentially eat the entire turn. I can't imagine that there's anything else that would be developed here.
So maybe if they had a... No, yeah, it looks like...
Okay, just making sure everything was properly recycled in power. You saw a point to the seal, but does not take red power. And we have 2 more warps. So that tells us that Tingfeng is on the full 3. I don't know if that's all in the main deck, but we are going to see another time warp here with the remaining 3 blue runes plus the Kaisa.
Yeah, this is, I think we might get DMCA struck because we did the time warp again. Let's do this. I'm not going to do it. Okay,
no.
I got to stop.
Stop. And so now we have a Stupefy, which again is a cycle, but I will say far more cost effective than back-to-back time warps.
Very true, very true. Pointing at time warp,
Pointing going,
same card.
Hey, same card, just way cheaper. Also, just want to say, I love the smiles from Tingfeng when you're clearly in a rough spot, but you can have fun with it like this.
Yeah, in a high-pressure match, too.
Yes.
In the 5-0 bracket.
And found a unit finally, and it is, I think appropriately so, a pouting Poro, because after time warp, Stupefy just to find a unit, I would be pouting as well.
Yeah, not ideal for Tingfeng there, but that is, of course, how the breaks can be sometimes.
So Ryan did get a hold point because the Kaisa remained at the Zon Warrens, and then here we see another Kaisa developed, this one not accelerated because it's not really needed. Darius, as the second card readies, goes to the star-tipped peak. Ryan jumps to 6 points, retreats the other Kaisa, so plenty of units to try to go for this double conquer on the following turn, while also threatening a hold point.
Is Tingfeng going to do it again? We know that the third time warp is in hand. They're at least going to be able to farm a point off of it this time. If they decide to cast it, it won't just be a very expensive draw one.
I think that's the consideration. You see the smile and the head shake here. It might feel wasteful to go through all 3, but at the end of the day, if you have nothing else, might as well ship it. So Tingfeng says, I don't win this with what's in my hand. Play to my outs. 3 time warps, 4 total cast by Tingfeng so far in this series.
Yeah, more than I've seen at all, really.
Tingfeng does also get the hold point because the Poro was there. So it's not just, cycle and draw. It is also get a point, not irrelevant.
No, I mean, does get to the awkward 5. However, if we're able to string something together, maybe a spell plus a Darius, all of a sudden we do get to that. We could potentially
I
get
think
to
we're
that
seeing
6.
Watcher, yeah. So
Watcher
the
will do it too.
8 runes go down. That screams Watcher. Should effectively deal with the Darius, get Tingfeng up to the important 6 points here. Ryan does have the 1 rune available. Has played all other retreats, though, so this would be a Stupefy just to cycle.
Makes sense. All right, that will put Tingfeng up to 6. Big break point.
I think this game might end up being decided on what Ryan draws from a Kaisa Conquer.
Yeah.
Because really low on cards in hand at the moment. Has the draw coming for the turn, and again with Tingfeng only having a couple of runes left, likely a Conquer from Kaisa being successful. So
yeah,
Ryan would need to find something to go over the top of that Watcher with the other Kaisa, though.
Or we Conquer, go to 7, draw Time Warp, hold for 8.
Okay, so instead Tingfeng plays the Raven Bloom, all the way exhausted, so Ryan doesn't have to worry about any additional plays, just has to find a way to pass these might checks.
Yeah. I mean, how many cards have we gone through? I think if the Time Warps are still in the deck, are we just going for it? I guess it depends on what else they drew. I thought a Watchful Sentry and a Cleave. Okay, Cleave is relevant.
So this is also an interesting position because if Time Warp is your out, there's an argument to be made of sending both Kaisas into the other spot just to guarantee the draw.
Right.
You could send one with a Cleave.
Right.
But if you send both, you'll have 2 draws plus the Warrens, potentially.
Right.
To get those looks.
Draws a Stupefy.
Oh, Stupefy. Okay, Stupefy actually gets this done for Ryan. So Ryan's going to get this Conquer point, and the combination of the Cleave plus the Stupefy will be enough for this Kaisa to go over the Watcher.
No, the Cleave was used on.
Oh, on the first one, you are correct.
Yeah, the Cleave was used there, so it's not.
There is a Hex Tech, so you can force a trade.
Yeah, which honestly at this point may be necessary. I think you start with the Stupefy,
there is still the draw from the Stupefy as well.
Draws another Stupefy.
Draws another Stupefy.
Wait, that puts to 5.
So Watcher's at 5.
Is there enough?
Watcher off the top.
We'll do it. Wow. I guess I mean, Watcher's always an out, right? We've always got Watcher as an out, and Time Warp would have done it as well. But
we have a series on our hands.
Yeah, tied it up. Very tight Kaisa play from both players there. A lot of back and forth. Not 1, not 2, but 3 Time Warps played in rapid succession there.
Yeah.
We definitely did the Time Warp again, and we're going to be doing the Time Warp again into game number 3. Tingfeng starting off strong with our favorite Arby's manager, RBS.
So the important piece here is going to be the clock. Both of those games were pretty lengthy.
Yeah.
Went deep into the late game, and we can see that they are tied in the series, but only a little bit over 2 minutes left.
Yeah.
Going to put a lot of emphasis on who can have a strong start.
Yeah, and real quick, we have got Reaver's Row, of course, which allows you to bravely run away when you are attacked at that battlefield, and Vile Maw's Lair, which does the exact opposite and says you absolutely cannot leave if you are here.
And Ryan here might have the advantage because of this draw. By going second, was able to develop a 2-drop, have the rune up for the Hex Tech. This will deny Tingfeng getting this capture, but also, importantly, the following turn, Ryan could go with this Poro and also still accelerate the Kaisa.
Yep.
Take an early 2-point lead here.
Yep.
And again, with the clock ticking down, that's very relevant.
Extremely relevant, depending on whose turn it is, how many points they have, and at what point in time. You need to have enough points to actually finish the game in turns. If we get to that point here, Ryan going to start off first blood achieved, and like you said, there is the Kaisa. Is it going to be accelerated? No, just in the back line.
Okay. Accelerating just takes more time off the clock.
Let's do the time warp again, please. If we even get there, we are at under a minute here for the players, which means we may be past the point of no return in terms of finishing this game. All right, Ravenbloom student sending in first here.
So there is a Hex Tech available.
Yep.
Ryan does use it.
Okay. Kaisa in the back line for Tingfeng again. Looks like it is likely going to be Ryan here on turn 0. There'll be 5 additional turns unless they pass their turn right now.
Ryan did get a hold point at the start of this because the Poro was around, so we are officially into turns, it would appear anyway.
Yeah.
Ryan has 2 points. So theoretically in striking distance.
Yep, we can go on.
Actually, no. Because one of those points was from a hold. So only one more point can be scored. So could go up to 3, then 5, then 7.
Yep.
And I don't know if you know this or not, but there is no Ride the Wind in Kaisa.
Well, whose fault is that?
It's not Darius's fault. Darius does come down, goes into the Vilemaw's lair, captures that as well. So Ryan does jump up to 3 points.
Okay, so theoretically, given that the turns are right, this should be turn number 1 on Tingfeng, which means that the even turns are going to be on Ryan. He's going to get turn 2 and 4. Tingfeng will get 1 and 3, and also 5. Looks like maybe there's a debate as to whether time was called or how that goes.
So I will say we are just going off of what was displayed to us. There is the possibility that they were not in turns yet. Perhaps they are just now being told to start turns, which would drastically change, you know, the complexities of this game.
Yep. It would for certain.
Again, just double checking here. I think Tingfeng is finally getting that draw from the Kaisa Conquer. Yep. Tingfeng has a lot of runes available. Gonna start with a Stupefy, see if the hand can get any better.
Now here's an interesting thing with extra turns. You can just steal a turn if you cast Time Warp. It does not add
this is
an
going to be
additional turn to
a
the
rain.
clock.
Yes.
Yep.
So there goes an Acathian Rain. Should clean up.
Cleans it all up.
I think everything?
2, 3, 4, 5. Wait.
That feels like too much.
That does feel
because
like
even though it is 12 damage, it's not 12. It's instances of 2. So you'd have to be 3 at Darius, 2
on Kaisa, 1 on one of the other ones. So
yeah.
I think we maybe are -1 unit here, but in any case, there's nothing we can do about it. What has happened, and we go on from there.
And Ryan will lecture Tingfeng on how cheaty it is to play Acathian Rain. Draw a card from the Lecturing Yordle.
Yep.
5 runes left. This could be something like a Darius here. That would be the second card.
Yep.
Still allow Ryan to capture yet another point, but I think that might be a hopeful coming down.
Looks like a hopeful to me. See a Dr. Mundo, an Acathian Rain, and I believe a Falling Star in hand.
There you go. Good eyes, Blevins.
I honestly can't believe it. Now.
And the pass over.
Yep. It's hard for us to speculate because we don't actually know what turn. Oh,
Oh,
yes, we do. It's right there.
we do.
Okay, so
Okay,
we're turn
so
2 here.
our clock earlier seemed to be a little bit off, but now we know we are on turn 2. Tingfeng got that point for holding out the Reaver's Row. Jumps up to 2. And the interesting bit here is both players are stuck in a position where they're in turns, but they only have reactive options.
Right.
Tingfeng's hand is entirely spells. And on the other side, we did see the Mundo and spells.
Right. Now, if one of those spells is a time warp, could be quite spicy. Because again, you can just steal the turn with time warp. It does not add a 6th turn to the extra turns clock.
Right. Tingfeng finds a Darius. Pulls the Kaisa back from the reverse row. Now plays Falling Star as well.
Yep.
And because of the Stupefy played earlier, Falling Star does actually clean up both units. Darius goes into the Vile Maw's lair. That should tie them at 3-3.
Yep.
But the advantage, even though we're in turns here, has, I think, shifted to Tingfeng at this point just because of the presence on the board. And again, we know that Ryan's hand is lacking units not named Dr. Mundo.
Yeah. Well, the thing about presence on the board is there's an Acathian Rain, and that will be no presence for anyone. No
I mean,
presence
you're
for
not
Christmas.
wrong, but unfortunately, all that does is make Ryan not lose. It's not a path to victory.
We may be past that point, and at 5-0, a draw is better than a loss here, for sure. At least if my rudimentary understanding of how draws work in this event is roughly accurate, I think a draw is not ideal, but it's not the worst. XO1 certainly is going to make top 8 if it gets to that.
I don't think it matters as long as you just keep winning.
Very good.
All right, we finally have a play, and looks like Ryan is instead opting to go with a Watcher here. This should effectively... Oh, interesting. So Watcher into Falling Star will clear both because of the minus to the might. I was going to say it should effectively clean up one of the locations, but does wipe the board while still generating a point. I like this play a lot more than the rain just because it does get Ryan, you know, again, a little bit ahead.
Yeah, gives you a point, gives you board presence here, clears the board from opponent. We definitely take it. Oh,
so now we see a Void Seeker.
Yep. So first Void Seeker I think we've seen of the match, and that's going to be it.
And that's going to be it.
Wow.
So I'm wondering if Tingfeng there is saying, hey, you're ahead on points.
Yeah.
There's no way for me to score points because, again, the hand was all spells.
Yeah.
And decides to just shake hands and pass it off to Ryan Miles. So I just want to say first, congratulations to Ryan. That was fantastic, beautiful play. But also I want to give a shout out to both players. I was really impressed with the methodical play, and you can see why they're both 5-0.